There are many acts of remembrance going on this month to mark the 50th anniversary of the Fall of Saigon and the end of the Vietnam War.
That event on April 30th, 1975, began a mass exodus out of Vietnam, with many refugees finding a home in the Bay Area.
ABC 7 News reporter Suzanne Phan sat down with a high school teacher who explored his family's refugee story, one meal at a time.
There are many ways of remembering the past. For graphic illustrator and high school teacher Phan, it came down to food.
When we were younger, my mom and dad were always working. We never saw them. It was a way of them connecting with us, because I would come home from school, they would not be home, but there would be food laid out on the table. That was like my mom, like writing me a note saying, hey, you know, welcome home from school, or I thought about you, here's your dinner for tonight.
Tien's book, Family Style, is a heartfelt story that starts with his family's exile from Vietnam after the end of the war and adapting to his new life in the United States.
I was preparing for whatever story I write to be very sad. My dad was describing the refugee camps, about how there was no food and no water. And I said, Dad, that's gotta be the worst time of our lives. And he said, no. He said, that was the best time of my life. And I said, what? And he was saying it was all these families, and they were there to support each other. And they all had one thing, and that was hope. So it really changed my perspective in the book. So when I drew it and wrote it, I did not want it to be just a super sad story. I wanted to show the joy and the humor and the fun.
Each chapter is broken down by a food memory. It begins when he was 5 and his family fled Vietnam on a boat.
Chapter 1, rice and fish. There was not a lot of food and water on the boat. The only thing we were able to eat was anything that the people who ran the boat would catch.
At one point, pirates raided their boat and took their money. Tien was terrified. After the pirates left, Tien's mother gave him a rice ball.
You still think about that taste. There's a comfort to it. And I never understood why, because it was kind of a scary time. But now I think that it's because it was given to me by my mom. That showed me that she was there. I think I felt like everything might be okay. Chapter 3, steak and potatoes.
Tien and his family were finally able to come to the United States. His aunt sponsored them. She was studying in Michigan, so they stayed with her partner in San Jose.
And my Uncle Russ picked us up. And so he didn't really speak Vietnamese. He doesn't know very much about Vietnamese culture, but he wanted us to really love America. He was like, I'm gonna cook them the most indulgent meal that he could possibly cook, which was a steak. I started gobbling it up and I just loved it so much. My family was not used to eating so much meat. After we ate it, we threw it all up. It's almost like we came to America expecting all this greatness and then realizing that it wasn't gonna be as easy as we thought. Chapter 5, Salisbury steak. This looks like so nostalgic. This is exactly how it looked, you know? This like gelatinous kind of gravy. Oh man. Oh man. This is my first food memory from going to school. And I remember eating it and thinking, this is the worst. When you look around and you see that all the other students are eating it, you have the sense that, is this what it takes to be American? This was the same time I was struggling to learn English. I remember really saying, I have to learn to like this food. I have to learn to speak the language. And this was like my acceptance of being in my new home. Chapter 7, Cơm tấm đặc biệt. This chapter, I'm already in high school. That scene where my mom makes me bánh cuốn and I throw it in the trash, that was me. Basically rejected my heritage. I did not know that this was a universal immigrant kid thing.
And we all go through this push and pull, no, yes, and you feel guilty, don't you?
When you first come to America, you know, everybody tells you, you're too Vietnamese, be more American. So you eat the Salisbury steak and you learn English and now you're American, you know, and you're proud of that. But then there's a point where people then say, you're too American, you know, and you're just like pushing and pulling. You're like, what am I? Cơm tấm đặc biệt is basically a combination. You can order the rice with a pork chop or with an egg or with the shrimp, or you can order one with all of it. And I really wanted to show that like you can be all of it. You just have to find that balance within yourself.
Suzanne Phan, ABC 7 News.
What great illustrations, huh?